Well, happy Thanksgiving, Canada. Today on the Whiskey Neighbor, I'd like to look at two excellent peated scotches. It's fall, and I think that continues the theme of when it's cool outside, it's a nice thing to consider a scotch. We're going to look at the Highland Park 12 and the Bowmore 12. These will be my reviews. Well, as I said in the opener, today I want to compare two very approachable and I would say available peated whiskeys. Now, while they're both peated, which means we've used peat in the heat source to dry out the malted barley, so it stops malting, they're not from the same location in Scotland. Bowmore is an Islay Scotch. I'll just pour a little bit as we're doing a comparison. And as such, it has some of the Islay peat characteristic that you'd expect, but Highland Park is actually completely on the other side, or I shouldn't say side, I guess it's up north in Scotland on the island of Orkney, and its peat characteristic is a little bit different. So I'll give that a little bit of pour. And we'll take a look at these two great scotches. The first thing you might notice is actually they present pretty similar in color. A little bit darker than light amber. That's the Bowmore, and here's the Highland Park. Also not a lot of color. And that surprises me because one of the characteristics as well at the Highland Park distillery is that they finish, or part of their aging process is in a sherry cask. So I would have expected that to be a little bit darker in color, because anytime you finish a scotch in sherry, it usually definitely picks up a darker color. But here it looks very, very similar. They're both aged 12 years. They're both a scotch, so they're barley. And we'll give them a check. We'll give them a note. Quite light. And actually I find the smoke to be pretty mild in the Bowmore 12, not overpowering. You can tell it's there. You can tell it's likely going to be some peat notes. Now I find the Highland Park quite different on the nose. There's still that smoke and a bit of peat. But there's something in the nose of Highland Park, at least their 12-year, that I can't quite identify. I do find it to be maybe a bit more floral, maybe honey, something going on in there, which I like. But there's something going on in Highland Park on the nose that isn't my favorite. The Bowmore, I get much more quickly into those, into the notes of a fireside or some ash. The phenol is a bit more present. It's a bit more softened in the Highland Park. So I'm going to give them a quick taste. I find the peat on Bowmore 12 actually come up stronger on the palate than it does on the nose. The nose seemed pretty gentle, a little bit, I could say, oh yeah, there's a bit of campfire in there. But it came up quite strongly in the taste. Whereas Highland Park on the nose, yeah, there's something else going on. Maybe flowers, I don't know, something. But I do find the flavor profile of Highland Park to be a little richer than the Bowmore 12. By richer, I even get some dark fruits in there. It's a little spicier on the tongue. I find it feels a bit more alive. The finish is stronger too, which is very interesting to me because I find the nose of Highland Park confusing, the Highland Park 12. But the palate, the way it is in the mouth, the taste really draws me in. Coming back to the Bowmore 12, I find the nose very light, almost hard to get into. Maybe I need to shake it around a bit. Oh, there it is. But the flavor profile doesn't have as many characteristics, certainly softer on the tongue. Well, now I'm getting a bit more wood, which is nice, and I wasn't getting an Island Park 12. So it's, you know, these are completely different distilleries. They are really quite different in flavor profile, but I wanted to bring them both on this Thanksgiving weekend because on my last podcast, I talked a bit about trying to find affordable whiskeys or scotches, and I would suggest that both of these are affordable. Where I am in Canada, they're both around the $50 mark, which is really a great place to get a good scotch. They're both 12 years old, so they have nice characteristic of oak and wood, and they're both fairly easy drinking. The Bowmore 12 is 40%. Maybe that's why I find it softer than the Highland Park, but the Highland Park's really only 43, so it's not a lot stronger. But I think if you're looking to start your peat journey, I really don't think you can go wrong with either one of these. On the nose, I actually like the Bowmore maybe a little more. Well, it's more mellow. There's something on the nose at Highland Park that puts me off. And I've watched several shows reviewing Highland Park, and I've never heard anyone mention that before. It always rates highly on any blog or podcast that I've been a part of. So I know this is a solid recommendation, and I do find that when you taste Highland Park, it really comes alive. Maybe it's because of the sherry going on in there. Maybe it's just the... people have said that the peat profile on the Orkney Island, because it's there's not a lot of tall timber there, so it's a softer peat. They talk about heather and flower and whatnot, and maybe that's what I'm getting on the nose, the flower notes. But I would say that it is not as ashy as the peat that I find in the Bowmore. In the Bowmore, the peat characteristic, smoke characteristic is a little bit more towards that campfire, a little bit less towards maybe some of the plant material that's going on in the Highland Park. Almost would depend on my mood which one I would go for first. I think if I can get past, there's something in the nose in Highland Park that doesn't quite sit with me, I would say I prefer the Highland Park. It's a spicier, a little bit more complicated drink. There's a little more flavor going on in there. But I would be very thankful on a Thanksgiving weekend if a friend dropped by and had a bottle of Bowmore 12 to share with me. So if I were to review these just today, I would say I put the Bowmore at a solid 3.5 stars, and the Highland Park would be 3.5, 4 stars, depending on how you'd go. So just a little bit better for the Highland Park, but Bowmore is a very tasty Scotch. That would be my review. So thinking about local events around town, I thought I would share, I don't know if it's an event, it's a release. You've heard me talk on my first episode about Corby's Northern Border Collection. That's Lot 40, Pike Creek, Gooderham and Warts, and J.P. Weiser. And just now, this fall, 2017, they are releasing or just have released the antique collection of the Northern Border Collection. And so these are a series of one-time only releases. They're going to be in stores, they are in stores, and then they're gone. In fact, that's why I wanted to share it on this show today. I thought I was definitely aware of release dates. I listened to the whiskycast.com, and he was sharing how they were coming out in England, but they'd be here in Canada on the 7th, and a few other places. And then I went to one of my favorite liquor stores, Chateau Louis on Kingsway, and I noticed he had all of them except the Lot 40 cask strength, which is probably the highest, well, is the number one on my I really want to try that list. And I said, oh, you left a space on your shelf for the Lot 40 cask strength when it comes out. And he let me know, well, no, I sold out already. That was a tough blow, a dark day here at the Whiskey Neighbor, because now I was pretty afraid that I wouldn't be able to find it. However, drove around, called around, did eventually find a place in North Edmonton, a liquor depot actually, that still had some. Picked up a couple of bottles, and I just wanted to let anyone who might catch this podcast that's in probably Western Canada looking for it, I wouldn't wait on going to the liquor store. Some of them are probably going to stay longer. The JP Weiser 35, likely going to be a phenomenal whiskey, but priced at about $170, $180. It's probably going to stay on the shelf a while. But the cask strength lot 40 is going to be priced anywhere between $69 and $79. And I'm absolutely confident that it will fly off the shelves, and it will be one you don't want to miss. So for my local events or news tip, I would just say, don't procrastinate. Go out to your local liquor store and find out if they've received shipment of the Northern Border Antique Collection. I think it's going to be phenomenal. That's my episode for the Thanksgiving weekend here in Central Alberta. If you like what you saw, or you want to comment or let me know how you feel about the Bowmore 12 or the Highland Park 12, let me know in the comment section below. Like the video, share with friends, and don't forget to subscribe. You guys have a good long weekend, and we'll see you next time on the Whiskey Neighbor.